Joe Canning has saved Portumna. So I was getting updates from the game. They were playing Gort, who won the county title a couple of years ago. So it's mad that the All-Ireland champions of maybe 5 years ago were playing against a team that was county champions in the meantime, and they both ended up in relegation. There were 2 relegation playoffs. So I was getting updates from the game, and what I was hearing was, Greg Lally scores a penalty, brings back Gort into the game. Now Ollie Canning is going to town. He's in around midfield, right wing forward. He's getting a few points. He's playing well, 43 years of age. Yeah. Right, comes up towards the very end of the game. Gort have a free to win the game and relegate Portumna. They miss the free, then puck out. Apparently Joe Canning hasn't really done a whole pile the whole game from play. Puck out, down on top of him, wins the puck out, fouled, knocks her straight over the bar, boom.
Like that.
Gort's gone, yeah. And it's, that whole picture, when he scored the point against Tip in the photo of. Like that again. So that's great stuff for Portumna.
It's unbelievable from Ollie in particular, and like all the elder statesmen there as well. It's just a sign of the character within that side. Like Damien Hayes still going strong, Andy Smith, Ollie's 43, Davy Canning is still playing. Like it's all elder statesmen, and they call on every bit of experience. And without being smart, it was 21 scores to 16 as well. They were probably the better team. You know what I mean? They had more scoring chances, obviously, but it's brilliant achievement for them.
Chunky Hayes got sent off. Apparently he's quite chunky there at the moment, but a second yellow for a loose slap. Then the other relegation match was Castlegar against Kilnadima Leitrim. So Cashel, as they like to call themselves, they won by 3, and Kilnadima go down to Senior B. So that's who was it that the main scoring threat for Kilnadima Leitrim was Brian Malloy. Ger Farher hit 2 frees to pull away at the end, and
Brian Malloy was one I thought would kick on with Galway. He was brilliant in one a couple of years ago. Very small, alright, but that's never really been an issue in Galway before. I thought he'd kind of train on a good bit and bulk up a bit as well, but he hasn't. I don't think he featured with Galway last year. Was on the panel, I think, when they won the All-Ireland in 17. But even with Gort and Kilnadima going down to Senior B, they can still end up in the knockout stages of the Senior A. So Patrick Early, freelance journalist there in Galway, texted me and said, just a heads up, he said, Gort and Kilnadima Leitrim are both relegated to Senior B for next year, but they can still win the county title from Senior B. It's just less teams qualified from the Senior B groups, and there's more games to get to the final. So Crockwell is a perfect example. They're in the Senior A quarter final, having come from the B this year. So even though you're in the B, if you win enough games, you can still end up in the A knockout stages as well. And he just said as well that Haskra Fonai, that's the Manions, and Abinakmai played on Saturday in the Senior B relegation final, and they drew. So a Haskra win an intermediate All-Ireland a couple of years ago, or beaten in a final.
They
were in a final anyway. But so they're trying to save their Senior B status at the moment as well. So
so Brian Hartnett's captain. He's from Tipperary actually. His nickname in the parish is Tip. That's quite a nickname. And Jack Coyne, apparently this was crucial midway through the second half. He blocked down Kilnadima and Leitrim's fullback on a short puck out and ended up scoring a goal himself. So that's 2 former All-Ireland champions who've saved themselves from relegation. Castlegar won it in early 80s, I think, if I remember correctly. I wasn't there now, but if I remember correctly. Clare Championship. So Cratloe hammered Crusheen for a finish 324 to 212, and 6 Mile Bridge with Davy Fitzgerald on the line. They beat Ina Kilnamona 18 points to 15. So between the two of them, they've been in 9 of the 10 finals this decade. I saw Owen Brennan, a journalist down there, tweeting Cratloe eased into it, and was it a second half masterclass past a flagging challenge at Crusheen. Rian Considine scored 2 lovely goals, and like that might lead to cause for him to get brought into the Clare panel. Colin McInerney got a goal, but when I was watching at the start of the game, Cratloe were absolutely flying it. They were, I think, 4-0 and then definitely 5-1
5-1,
10-7 then by half time, and then that, like, it was a beautiful goal from Rian Considine just after the break. Conor McGrath, who's playing midfield and quite influential, he had a shot that dropped short. Considine knocked it down to himself, and it was beautiful stuff.
Conor McGrath is an interesting one. I was only thinking about it yesterday, looking at the match. He's out around the middle of the field now, and I would say he's doing a lot more hurling now than running. So sometimes his game was all based on running and speed.
Sharp changes in direction.
When he first burst on the scene. So while that's great, I think you should be coached more to use your skill a bit more where possible, because like if your hamstrings start going or your legs start slowing down,
for him as well.
your game goes as well. So kind of everything is about speed now, and it's get the ball and go. I don't necessarily think that should be the case a lot of the time, because if it's just say you do pick up knocks and something like that, you're slowing down. It should be more on, okay, get the ball, take a turn, put it over the bar. You know, it should be. I think it should be more skill based just on that, because if you lose your legs, you're in trouble. Like if you lose your pace, you're in trouble.
So you know, if you think of some of the Clare team, Derek Honan as well, hips massive issue, and he would have blamed training load that they had several years ago under David Fitzgerald. It definitely seemed to be the bottom line to what he was talking about. But like, are there any sports in the world other than the 2 Gaelic Games codes where you're just kind of switching over and back all the time if you're standing on the inside line trying to get a yard? Like, that doesn't really happen in soccer with the offside rule. You're just playing on the shoulder and trying to get in behind. It's very different in GA. So I don't know what other sports would hurt your hips quite as much.
Yeah, they're different.
Tennis
movements. Maybe? Tennis possibly, yeah. They're different movements. Saying that, you don't hear tennis players suffering those same sort of hip injuries.
Professionals as well.
Yeah, like they're more kind of knees, elbows and that kind of stuff for overuse kind of, more so. But it's the first time, I think it's the first time the Bridge and Cratlow will meet in a county final while they're neighbours as well. So very, very interesting.
And Niall Gilligan came off the bench for the Bridge.
It's unbelievable. I said it to you a couple of weeks ago. He missed a penalty in the penalty shootout, didn't he?
Yeah, the intermediates.
Yeah. And I kind of had a feeling that when he was gone from that, there was no excuse not to pull him now that he played at some stage. So they did actually. Yeah.
Himself and Ollie Canning. Still going.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? Really, yeah. It is, but you do find when the ground slows up, it's hard beat the bit of experience. Yeah. It's hard beat the lads that can close out a game, and in a 60-minute game, it's not a an 80-minute game like county is. There's subtle little things that you can do to slow down the play. Lads going down here and there, buying frees. It's different at club level. It's easier, how should I say, manipulate a game with your experience at club level. And plus, Brian Wheelerton did it in Offaly for years, and Henry, without being smart, has done it in Kilkenny for years. The really good players tend to referee the matches. They do though. And Gilligan probably would be something similar at this stage. Like Brian Wheelerton definitely did it in Offaly for years because he's so well respected as well, and I've seen Henry in action in club games as well, and it definitely would be influencing referees in their decisions.
Paddy McMahon was tweeting that the Bridge have been in the final every year ending in an odd number this decade. So there you go. But like Kilnamona, they were outscored 9-2 in the last quarter, and they were looking to make a first final. They lost by 3, so that's where the game was won and lost. Apparently they were not happy that they weren't given a penalty at one stage, but they were lucky not to have someone sent off in the aftermath. And just something else I noticed, that Ger and Niall Arthur, they're back for Kilnamona. They were with Nafina and they played for Louth as well.
I don't think they were let play last year. There was some issue last year, but one of them put up a ridiculous score in a league game. I think 2018. I think one of the Arthurs put up
Niall play inside
something like 3-7 or 4-11 or something like that. I can remember offhand.
Yeah, there's plenty of scandal going on in Carlow hurling at the moment. It's a bit of a convoluted one, but essentially what it boils down to is there's a fixture clash between hurling and football where I'll just run through it. So Ballinkillen, they were in the Carlow hurling semi-final against St. Mullins, but 5 of their players are involved with Kildavin, Clonagall, and they drew with Michael, and there was a refixed intermediate football semi-final to take place last Saturday night. That was fixed for last Saturday night, whereas the hurling semi-final with 5 of those players crossing over was on the Sunday, and and that's actually twice this week now that there have been fixture clashes. So I think Nave Breed earlier this week, they have 3 football clubs attached to them, which is kind of mad. So Ballinabrana, Old Leckland and Leckland Bridge. So some of the guys that hurled with Nave Breed, they had to play a relegation match against Mount Leinster Rangers on Tuesday at the same time as a hurling match. So it all seemed a bit crazy.
How can that happen given how early Carlow were out of both championships? How can there be like fixtures falling over like that? It's a crazy scenario.
There are 4 teams in the Carlow hurling championship, and Mount Leinster topped it, so they went straight into the final. Then the next 2 went into a semi-final. And like one lad was saying to me, there's only really 5 hurling weeks in Carlow are made that aren't football only. And to think that this can happen, this clash, but the ramifications are huge because Ballinkillen, as things stand, so the game was, they had said to St. Mullins, can we refix the game? And apparently St. Mullins were agreeable to that. The Carlow County Board ended up awarding the game to St. Mullins. And Ballinkillen now, this is what I'm hearing on the ground, is that they're going to withdraw their players from the Carlow county team for next year, which includes the likes of David English, who's been on the road with them for a long time. So there's a statement put out by Ballinkillen on their Facebook page also, and I can read out some of it. So it's saying it's on behalf of Ballinkillen GAA. So the last Sunday, the club learned via social media that the intermediate football semi-final between Kildavin and Naomh Eoin had been scheduled for the preceding Saturday evening, September 28, just gone, at 6. On confirming this report, we immediately contacted the county board with a request that either of the fixtures be rescheduled. There are 5 Ballinkillen hurlers involved with Kildavin, and the club took the view that to ask players to play 2 important matches within 18 hours of one another was unjust, against player welfare and against the player development pathway. Given the fact that only 5 weekends have been set aside all year as hurling weeks, it is unprecedented that a senior hurling semi-final would be disrupted in this way. It is one thing for a football fixture to encroach on a Monday or Tuesday of a hurling week, but a match involving senior and intermediate hurlers to be refixed the evening before a senior semi-final is unacceptable. This weekend should have been a special occasion for our club. Ballinkillen has not reached a senior semi-final for several years, and a huge amount of voluntary work has been put in at juvenile level. And with this group of players in order to make progress, it's deeply disappointing to us that the team have been disrupted all week, culminating in this morning's announcement that the senior semi-final has been postponed. So it's just like they're basically talking about player welfare, and it's a mess for Carlow. This is the last thing you need. The whole,
Yeah, fair play. I tell you what, fair play to them for taking a stand, because the easy thing to do would have been to play the match. It's going to be very high profile now, because a county senior hurling semi-final has been given as a walkover essentially, and the other team doesn't want to walk over, and obviously Ballinkillen want to play, and the fact that looks like they're going to pull lads from the county team, sometimes you just have to push the nuclear button and say stop, this kind of carry on just can't go ahead, especially as I said, there's no reason why these fixtures couldn't have been played earlier. I think they're dead right. If they played the fixture, Greystones actually in Wicklow, a similar situation happened in 2017 going into 2018 county year, and they played the fixture and they lost, and they complained beforehand and complained after, but once the fixture was played, there's not really a comeback. They pulled their county players for the opening couple of months of the year, but then obviously lads do want to play for their county and all, and no matter how much you detest the county board, you kind of will go back. But they've taken a stand here. The match has never been played. I think they have a fair grounds for at least for the game to be played either next weekend or whenever. There's no this is fairly high profile. It should be very, very embarrassing for the Carlow County Board, because it's a farcical scenario.
And overall, there are an awful lot of these issues at the moment. Look at what's happening with the ladies football and hurling also. Sarah Friday put out a detailed tweet about some of the issues in Tipperary.
If we thought hurling was bad, hurling and football are bad, some of this camogie and ladies football stuff is just bizarre. You seem to be seeing a different thing every week. Obviously had Coola last week. Sarah Friday had that long thread which was just mad. Turles Sars put up a thread as well last week as well.
Well, just the cooler thing for people who don't know is that they were asked to, so they won the All-Ireland, the ladies final. They won the 3 in a row. A couple of the players that were playing with Coola. Then on the Wednesday, so the match was on the Sunday, on the Wednesday they had to play a county semi-final. Then on the following Sunday, as in another 4 days after that, they were asked to play the county final, but also a camogie final the same weekend, or semi-final. So they gave away the camogie game the same day actually. So they're and people say they're all the GAA, surely they should be able to sort these fixtures out. Well, the Ladies Football Association, camogie, and GAA, they might all sound like the one thing, but they're all different, run by different people. So
and it's like 3 different managers. They all have their own objectives. They're basically all trying to get their own kind of job done, or to get their own fixtures played off, and it just turns into an absolute mess.
So we'll see what happens with that situation. The Antrim hurling final was on at the weekend. Dunloy 316, Cushendall 215. Now watch this game. There's plenty of loose hurley.
There's been no love lost now, to be fair.
Both teams had goalkeeping mistakes in the first half, and at one stage I think it was Dunloy. They were 2 points up. Keeper drops one into the net, and you're like, it's so hard to get a 2-point lead or a point lead in hurling, or to draw back 3 points. Think of the effort to get 3 scores in a tight game. It's a killer. But then just before half time, one went the other way, and then Sean Elliott with 2 late goals, 2 lovely late goals, really good finisher. Conal Cunning as well, very good full forward for Dunloy.
Yeah, the others that like they're brilliant games up there. They're so passionate, in fairness, about their hurling. It's going to be an interesting. We'll move on to Derry in a second, but it's going to be interesting. Schlockneil still fancy their chances after winning 7 in a row yesterday. Of hopping off Dunloy as well. So like Ulster is a lot more interesting now, I would say, than it had been when you used to always just have Antrim. At least you have Derry now as well, and obviously I think Ballycran won yesterday as well. So you have them into the mix as well. But very, very interesting up there. Yeah.
Do you see the possibility of an Ulster team winning an All-Ireland club title anytime soon? I mean, Lochiel Shamrocks did it 7 years ago, I think.
Yeah, Lochiel beat Coolderry in the 2012 final. Sorry, yeah. Being honest, I probably don't because without being smart, Coola are very strong in Leinster, and the Piercing are very strong in Munster. The Galway champions probably not going to be as strong as they used to be.
Ballyhale,
Ballyhale as well. Yeah, Ballygunner. It's going to be very, very difficult. Saying that, there's been funny years at times.
So the Derry final, like you mentioned, Schlockneil 123, Kevin Lynch's 212. Brendan Rodgers got a nice goal at the end of the game.
Kevin Lynch's actually Kevin Lynch's came out and they were 2-7 to 10 up. Of course, the great Jeffrey McGonigal was over them. One of the great dual players and one of the great characters within the game. He's the kind of like the Niall Sheridan of Derry hurling and football. He's kind of a burly full forward, bald head. He was class, he was unbelievable.
Small little technical issue there with the end of the podcast. So just going to do the final bit again on my own. And just actually something to add in onto the Portumna section is Damien Hayes is after retiring after the game. He was a senior with the club for more than 20 years, and I'd say from his point of view, just delighted that he left him in the same place that he found him up in senior hurling. So a nice way to bow out for Damien. Just a run on then to what else happened in Ulster. In the down final, Ballycran beat Portaferry 120 to 113. The West down in Leinster then in Westmeath, the semi-finals, Castletown Geoghegan 222, Loughlin Gales 110, and Clonkill beat Raharney by a goal 115 to 15 points. Then Tipperary Championship, there was the North final and the replay of the West final. So my own hometown Borrisoleigh were beaten 1-8 to 213 by Killadangan. So as Shane Brophy, the journalist for Nina Guardian, was tweeting, Killadangan win their 4th North final this decade with a deserved win over Borrisoleigh in a poor North final. Neither side near their best, but Killadangan's forwards the difference. Borrisoleigh had gone 2 points to 0 up and had penalties saved early on. Brendan Maher's penalty was saved. A couple of frees went awry, but Killadangan, a really, really good team. Got a lot of class and pace all over the field. Ty Gallagher, one of the goals. They have Willie Connors in there, Alan Flynn, who people will know from the inter-county scene. So disappointing performance for Borrisoleigh. Both teams have played plenty of games recently, so maybe that's what added up to a poor final. I saw some people tweeting that it looked like a sort of two jaded teams, and they'll both have next weekend off as we head into the preliminary quarterfinals. The West final replay, Clonoulty Rossmore, who are the reigning county champions, they beat Aero Gannacarty 313 to 115, so that was a replay. And so just looking at the preliminary quarterfinals then for next weekend, Lockmore Castleiney against Clonoulty Rossmore. So that's two teams that have won county titles in recent times and would also be fancying themselves to do just that again this year. Toomevara against Owen Kelly's Mullinahone. And Aero Gannacarty, who I mentioned earlier, and Drummond Inch, they progressed to the quarterfinals on October 12th and 13th by virtue of coming through their groups in the county championship. So there's divisional groups, you try and win that championship as a backdoor into the county championship if you didn't get through in your group. So Waterford Championship, Ballygunner, as ever, they have had victory down in Waterford. They're now 32 games unbeaten, which is a phenomenal record. Although I did hear one lad tell me that one day they had more or less lost the game against possibly Dungarvan. They were more or less gone, and then the floodlights, in curious circumstances, failed, and it ended up going to a replay. And Ballygunner won quite convincingly. They didn't need one here, beating Dungarvan 222 to 113. Former Brighton and Hove Albion soccer player Desi Hutchison scored 3 points in the first 12 minutes, all from play, and he actually missed a couple of goal chances as well. No harm having a professional sports person on your books, or a former one. De La Salle will meet Ballygunner in the final after beating Austin Gleeson's Mount Sion by 4 points, 120 to 116. Shane McNulty gave an exhibition at fullback, and full forward Thomas Douglas hit 1-3. So they'll be looking to stop Ballygunner's 6 in a row bid, and it's a repeat of the 2017 final. I just noticed that Waterford tweeted out wishing a speedy recovery from all in Waterford GA to Mount Sion's Peter Penkert, who sustained a serious injury in yesterday's senior hurling semi-final. So yeah, of course, we'll give him our best wishes. Kilkenny Championship then, there was a replay between Mulnavat and Greg Ballycallen, or Eddie Brennan's club. Mulnavat came through by 5 points, 118 to 113. They're up against O'Loughlin's next. The other quarterfinals, will be the Roar against the Village, Clara against Ballyhale, and of course there are some concerns over TJ Reid because he came off with an ankle injury in the win over Ballyraggett, and then Dixborough will also play Erin's Own. So the final thing to touch on then is the Wexford quarterfinals. There was a couple of them refixed for the weekend just gone because of the weather the weekend before. Rapparees beat Rathnure 214 to 116, and it's fairly dramatic. Like, Rathnure were looking to get to the semi-final for the first time since 2012. We're in a great position to do so. And then injury time goals from substitute Eamon Furlong, and then Wexford's Kevin Foley, who everyone will know from the sweeper position. He scored nailed a free into the net in the 7th minute of injury time to break Rathnure hearts. So that's Rapparees Starlights. The other quarter-final that was refixed was Shelmaliers and St. Anne's, but that's actually after being postponed again due to a bereavement there, so we'll send our best wishes in that direction. So that's it from Club Talk. If there's anything we've missed, please send a message to myself at Shane Saint on Twitter or to @MLVerney, and don't forget to follow us by clicking on this button here.